about
Alright guys, brand new Diablo update video. Let's check it out.
New occult gems and more launching with Season of Witchcraft.
So yeah, this video just dropped.
PIC Marcus Kretz with me here today.
Hey everybody.
Now there won't be any major story spoilers in this video, but basically dozens of heads are missing from the Tree of Whispers, and it's your job to find out just what's going on. The Witches of Hawazar appreciate the help and in turn teach you witchcraft. There are 25 different witchcraft powers to unlock. We'll cover some later on in this video, but for my Diablo 3 people out there, I just want to say welcome back, you're a NATO. Oh, how
there we go.
To unlock and upgrade
good to see bloodshed over there.
Players will need to earn the seasonal currency called Restless Rot. You can find Restless Rot by doing headhunts on your map. They are zones highlighted in this darker, swampy color, kind of similar to Helltides. While you're in these areas, it's your job to hunt down head-rotten enemies. The head-rotten are
it's like teaching us how to play, but it's like
from the influence of
it's like a week out.
These head-rotten enemies will be your main source for gaining Restless Rot. And these enemies come in multiple forms, across 10 monster families, from elites to unique elites, and even headed bosses. Remember, you're tracking down and hunting these rogue monstrosities, so make sure to investigate everything by clicking on corrupted roots, a pyre, or by even following some wildlife around. Just might lead you to some more head-rotten. One thing to note, completing seasonal quests and whispers earns you a reputation called Coven's Favor. As the reputation board, it's making a comeback. Here you can earn more gold and loot, unlock more seasonal quests, and even get some bigger rewards, like uniques, ancestral items, and a resplendent spark.
It takes a long time to get to that last spark though, man.
It's also per character, so feel free to earn those rewards again and again on alts. But the witchcraft powers are account-wide, so this should make playing multiple characters for the season feel really great.
That's a really good change though.
To level up in. Remember, in seasonal mode, you don't have to complete the entire campaign to access the content. Just complete the seasonal intro quest and hop right into the action from the start.
The head is inside. Quickly.
The first time you fight this boss is actually really good. It's actually really challenging.
Headhunt areas, and finishing any whisper in these zones has a chance to spawn a head-rotten boss, which is great because they'll drop that seasonal currency we talked about. And since you'll be completing more whispers than ever before, we added a way to turn them in out in the field. Just open up your map, head to the Raven of the Tree by going to this icon in headhunt zones, and he'll gladly exchange your grim favors.
It'll show up as like purple.
But if you do decide to head over to the tree, you'll notice we spruced up the area a bit by changing the layout, adding in vendors, and making the waypoint even closer for faster turn-ins. When turning in your favors, pay close attention to the reward caches now, because this season you have a chance to find an ancestral cache, which guarantees you an ancestral item upon opening.
To unlock most of your witchcraft powers, head to the Tree of Whispers area and find the Altars of Witchcraft. This is where you spend your Coven's Favor to purchase powers. Although some powers, known as Lost Witchcraft, are only found from forgotten altars, hidden in dungeons.
You can find these, by the way, in the pit. That's the best spot, because you're gonna do the pit anyways.
Click on the Witchcraft tab, hover over the power you'd like to level up with Restless Rot, and click on the corresponding button listed here. Like Bloodshed mentioned earlier, there are 25 different witchcraft powers to unlock, 21 normal and 4 unique. On your character, you can equip 5 normal witchcraft powers and 1 unique at the same time, opening up tons of.
I feel like this is more a tutorial than like an update.
Cost to swapping in different ones and changing up your powers. We want you to have fun and experiment with different setups. Here's a few of the witchcraft powers to get you hyped. Pyranado, like we mentioned earlier, is amazing for grouping up enemies, and as you level it up, it will start to seek out monsters on its own. If you're not into piranhas, try out fire bats. They attack your enemies with multi-hit fire damage, and as you level them up, they can even stun targets. Soul Harvest makes its devilish return to Sanctuary. Every time you use a cooldown, you gain 1% primary core stat per surrounding enemy. The bonus you receive lasts longer the more you level it up. Doom Orb circles your character and damages enemies it comes into contact with, but sometimes the little guy gets impatient and seeks out enemies on its own. Doom Orb also gets stronger when it hits a boss or kills a monster, until it eventually explodes, dealing fire damage. Don't worry though, they'll always come back.
What I also like is that these powers can synergize with your main build. You'll find that some of them grant character stats, like critical strike damage, damage reduction, overpower damage, vulnerable, and so forth. Another cool thing is how the powers can play off each other since they have specific tags. For instance, you can use Aura of Siphoning, which damages targets all around you, and combine that with the Witchcraft power Aura Specialization, which boosts the size of your auras. Now you have an even greater death radius.
It's really good to apply poison for Druid too to get Venom.
Soul, which allows Psyche and Growth and Decay spells the ability to make your targets vulnerable. So keep an eye out for interesting Witchcraft powers that you can combine together for even greater effects. These Witchcraft powers also synergize with Occult gems. Occult gems are a new seasonal gem type that go in your jewelry slots only, so they won't compete with runes. They exist side by side. We didn't want other socketables like rubies and skulls to compete with Occult gems either, so we added defensive stats to Occults, like armor and all resistance. Occult gems are acquired from turning in the missing heads you find to one of the witches and crafting them. These gems also help to further specialize and enhance the Witchcraft powers you're already using. You can see here that with Friend of the Bog, you can get primary core stat, life, and even gain unhindered for using 3 or more growth and decay abilities. Reminder to read those spell tags listed here. There are some other great options like Moonlight Ward, which gives you
That one's really good.
max resistance to all elements for each spell rank of your equipped unique gem. There are lots of other bonuses to look out for, like movement speed, a chance to pull enemies in, a gem that boosts your character's ultimate damage, a gem that makes your damage over time effects tick even faster, one that helps you gain more barrier, and the list goes on. I guess it's a great time to have the Armory, eh?
You're right, Ruben. The Armory is finally here, and it's available to both seasonal and eternal players. You can now save and swap and name up to 5 of your builds per character.
Just to give them some feedback, by the way, and also let you guys know, because some people may run into this issue. If you happen to have some of the rune words, it messes this up. So make sure that when you swap to a different set, make sure that you also check to make sure your rune words are set up like properly, especially if you move them around. It will not snapshot those like back to the same one. So just keep that in mind.
Including loot, skill points, and Paragon points.
But this is a great feature still, though. It still will save you time.
If you wanted to run speed loadouts, running dungeons,
I feel like this video should have been like,
or perhaps
like,
you want to
was it
tank
about a
your
week ago?
sturdier loadout for pushing the pit, swap to that. Or maybe you want to experiment with a different build entirely, the Armory's got you. No more spending precious time reallocating all those Paragon points and glyphs. The system will remember each setup and pull the gear from either your inventory or your stash space, as long as you don't salvage it, of course. To help with accidental salvaging, your Armory items will be automatically favorited and tagged with this text and icon.
Oh, that's okay.
You need
that's something I actually just learned.
So save and swap, rejig, tinker, galvanize, experiment, and theory craft as many times as you wish. To find the Armory, head to this icon on the map, found in every major city. And if you die on hardcore, well, they'll bury you with your loadouts, since they're tied to each character specifically.
Some other changes you can expect to see are class-specific quests. If you've done them once, you never have to complete them ever again. We always strive to respect the player's time, all while making things feel rewarding as well. It's definitely a balance. Also, when a unique item has more greater affixes, the minimum roll of the unique power will be higher per GA. To better align with the power of the item, this should help those 3 and 4 greater affix items to feel really impactful.
Okay, just as a heads up, I don't know if they know about this. Let me go find this real quick though. It's actually important. So the reason why I want to bring this point up, that he was talking about like the rolls. So you can see that there is a quadruple greater affix on this area. It's bringing these to the unique pants. And this was posted. And even though he's got every single one greater affix, it still rolled the minimum roll. So just keep in mind that this may not apply to every single item. Perhaps since it's a newer item and they maybe changed some other stat, it maybe didn't get that update. So as far as this goes, obviously it should get it, but it's something that may need to be updated.
Your Codex of Power will be happier because when an ancestral item drops, it will now be in the top end of the legendary aspect rank. So you should have an easier time.
Dude, like look at this, all 100%. I know I've been playing for a lot of time, you guys know, because I've been streaming it pretty much every single day, and I don't even have anywhere close to this. I think that they can maybe make the drop rate a little bit easier in terms of getting the higher rolls, because I play the game a lot, and I want to say the average player, it still may be a little bit too hard to achieve like the max rolled aspect, which was kind of something that people complained about last season, including myself. I think that as far as it goes, maybe they can ease up on allowing us to get the max rolls.
Maxing out your powers. And in general, we've increased the ancestral legendary drop rate across the board, hopefully finding a solid balance there. And finally, for Vessel of Hatred players, we're updating over 15 runes and adding in 3 all new ones to find. 1 rune for Druid Lightning Bolts, and 2 that help you generate offering in different ways, by casting non-basic skills, and the other for having active summons.
Oh, nice. Yay for pet builds.
Okay, the active summons one's actually pretty good. Let's finish off the video.
Feedback. and the suggestions, it really does help.
I love seeing bloodshed over here. That's really cool. Okay, so I was kind of expecting like an update with this because it says quality life updates for the game, which I mean it did show off like the armory and stuff. I'm just gonna go ahead and play a little bit of background while I just kind of give you guys my 2 cents on like the update here. I was expecting some like new gameplay or some sort of update in terms of like the actual game itself, because well, it has. In here it doesn't say update, but on the thumbnail it says updates. So I was expecting to see a little bit more. This seems kind of like a hype trailer, and I think they did a good job though. Like the trailer is totally fine, but as far as some of the other things that I mentioned, just be aware of like when you are swapping in the armory, that sort of things. But I feel like this video should have came out maybe like when the season launched. But it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, if it gets people hyped to play, it gets people hyped to play, and there's my reaction. And I'm curious to know, how do you guys feel about this season? I've been playing it pretty much every single day, and I've genuinely been enjoying it. I feel like this whole thing right here, when it's like when you're doing the seasonal campaign, it takes so dang long. It's go complete like 1,000, go complete 500 of these like Grim Favor turn-ins things. It's a little bit repetitive, but I think it takes a really long time to get the spark. And by the time like I'm at like the tier 20, which is where you get the Resplendent Spark, I could have already farmed hundreds and thousands of mythic boss runs and rotas to the point where this didn't really have that value because I already kind of achieved it. So I think the spark, and remember it's only 1 spark, it's not like you just get the mythic instantly. I think that this could be moved earlier on, and I think one thing that would be really cool at the very end of it, because a lot of people still are trying to get like the Igni rune or Bach rune, some of these, or even like the Ohm rune, these are like things where like they're very expensive for your average player to get the gold to go to like the Diablo trade website to actually achieve them. That it'd be really cool to maybe add like more runes, or maybe some sort of way where like I get to choose the rune, or maybe at the very end just choose 1 mythic item. I think a lot of people still have the mindset, while I'm able to play the game, I can get all the mythics in just like a weekend. Your average player may not be able to do that, and they still think that dropping a mythic is like impossible. I can't do it. So I think that guaranteeing, just let the player craft 1 mythic. Like let them choose what they want. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal at the very end. I think that would be a little bit of a better reward for your casual player base to actually get to the end game, because I think that that's one thing that they've been really trying to do, is allow the casual player base to get towards the end. That's why you see all these like free season mid-season like boosts. You get like a free character to level 50. It's because the average player doesn't reach that, because in their head it's unachievable. But I can tell you from experience that it really isn't that difficult if you are doing like rota runs. But sometimes people, they don't have a group to play with. They're not going to go seek YouTube video tutorials on how to get mythics, which we'll make an updated video on it. But overall, I am enjoying the season. The one thing that I would really like to see though in the future, and we'll talk more about this in a separate video because this video is supposed to be about the update, is really adding some like end game content that is challenging and then rewarding. Like you can't just give the person a mythic item for like the new super hard content, because we've already achieved that. Maybe we can introduce either some sort of set items or certain like things like the Kanai's Cube. To unlock it, you got to do like this crazy boss run that's like a gauntlet of all the tormented bosses, and you have to fight them all at once, and you can't use a potion, or something like really challenging. Because honestly, I can one-shot Uber Lilith. Like it's really not too much of a challenge in terms of like content to do the tormented 4 bosses, because we're just doing these rota runs again and again. But I think that's one area where we could see some improvement. Anyways, that's my thoughts. You guys can let me know what you thought of the update video. Like I said, I felt like it's a hype trailer that could have came out a couple days ago, but still, there's my thoughts and reaction to it. Anyways, let's go wrap things up. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, subscribe, turn the bell if you guys want to see more Diablo content. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.